My wife cheated with her gym trainer and demanded half of everything during our divorce, but my father secretly controlled our house and savings. Though here I am, I never imagined I would be publishing. Currently 35 years old, I have worked for a local company for about 10 years. I suppose I'm able to remain cool through all of this as I've always been a somewhat pragmatic man, level-headed and all that. Still, I wed Kathy, a 33-year-old. Although we have been married for 2, we have been together for almost 5. No children. Looking back today, this is most likely a benefit. Kathy has not worked since we were married. Originally in marketing, she wanted to take a break and concentrate on us once we tied the knot. I figured it was temporary and didn't mind. I made plenty for both of us. Our dwelling is modest yet enough to be comfortable. Our savings account is respectable. Nothing ostensive. Kathy had stayed at home most of her life, but suddenly things started to change. Though I can't say exactly when I first observed Kathy being aloof. When she went to the gym or with friends, she would stay out longer. She would get defensive when I inquired what was going on and stopped being loving. I first attributed it to stress or a normal marital slump, but as the weeks passed I couldn't get rid of the uneasy feeling. And so lad, was I right. One evening Kathy was in the bathroom when her phone buzzed with a message. I looked over at it out of pure instinct. From a guy called Derek. It was at first I didn't give it much thought, but something about the phrasing of the message felt strange. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe," it said. Opening it let me discover what confirmed my greatest worries. For months, she had been seeing Derek, her gym teacher. The books were unambiguous, full of future plans that obviously did not call for me. Frozen, I sat there fixed on the phone. It surprised me. The woman I married and the person I trusted was cheating on me. Still, I felt numb rather than angry or depressed. I knew I had to face her without losing my calm, maybe the shock or maybe my pragmatic nature kicking in. I gently handed her the phone when she emerged from the toilet and asked her to explain. She first tried to reject it, claiming it was only a joke and nothing. She understood though, that lying had no purpose when I read some of the books back to her. She murmured, "I want a divorce." Not even guilt, an apology, or regret. Nothing. Simply a chilly, distant remark. She said she had been seeing Derek for some time and that she was unhappy in our marriage now. She was leaving me for him. She paid no attention to sugarcoating it. Her next action, though, truly set off something. She began discussing splitting assets without pausing. She claimed she wanted half of everything. The house, the funds, everything we had created together. She even said she earned it as she gave her career to help me. The nerve astonished me. Still, I kept cool. Perhaps it's because I had already emotionally checked out at that point, or perhaps because deep down I knew something she didn't. I agreed then. I assured her I wouldn't fight her for a divorce if she wanted one. She could have half what she believed I possessed. She was shocked, most likely anticipating an emotional collapse or argument. I was not about to provide her with that gratification though. Almost all of our assets were in my dad's name, something Kathy did not know. And something I felt not necessary to share with her. You know, my father is really astute. He advised me to name all of my key assets in his name years ago when I first began earning good income. Whether it be debt, lawsuits, or, as it turns out, a cheating partner, he said it would provide a safety net should something ever go wrong in the future. I didn't give it much thought at the time. It appeared only like wise financial planning. So I knew Kathy wouldn't be receiving what she expected when she insisted on half of everything. On paper, I had little, just a modest bank account, a car in my name, and a few miscellaneous oddities and ends. The house. In technical terms, it belonged to my dad. Most of my savings are here. Also is under my dad's supervision in accounting. I advised us to handle things through mediation instead than engaging in a messy legal fight. For both of us, I reasoned it would be simpler and less expensive. She accepted, obviously intending to leave with a substantial portion of my assets. She had no idea though, that this arrangement with my dad had been in place for years and that, to be honest, I had ignored it until the divorce discussion started. Though I can't deny that I'm appreciative of my father's foresight, it wasn't quite what I had hoped for. Most of the funds and investments Kathy was looking at were officially owned by him, as was our property. Living modestly enough that nobody, including Kathy, really questioned it, I had always maintained a low financial profile in my own name. I told my dad right when the divorce process began. Though he was not happy about the circumstances, what father would be, he realized the need of keeping things quiet. We asked a lawyer simply to be sure everything was legally sound and perfect. As it happened, everything was in perfect order. Though Kathy could demand whatever she wanted, there wasn't much in my name for her to take. Kathy moved quickly. She never wasted time. She engaged an aggressive divorce lawyer, one of those sharks that guarantees to grab whatever they can. I also engaged a low-key but reputable attorney who specialized in instances similar to mine where complex financial variables were at work. Though I didn't want to create a major scene out of this, I also wasn't going to allow Kathy and her attorney to harass me. Asset disclosure, the first phase of the divorce procedure, did not go as Kathy had hoped. I set everything out exactly as mandated by law. Her lawyer's assured smile wavered though, as she realized how little my name really registered. Though I could tell they were both perplexed, perhaps even suspicious, there was not much they could do about it. I gave honest information. There were no hidden assets. She then began berating me right there, calling me names and accusing me of lying. Like I stated though, I offered everything I had. Saying we would talk about everything once she had cooled down, I departed following many accusations and shouted shouts. Here I am now, looking at Reddit since I'm not sure if I handled things the correct manner. So Reddit, am I the *bleep* for consenting to give her half of what's mine knowing she's not really getting anywhere near what she expects? Update 1. So, things are beginning to heat up. Kathy was totally incredulous following the first asset revelation. Her attorney was not much better, and she obviously felt I was hiding something. When they saw the meager statistics on paper, he had a wonderful expression. They soon began asking for a more extensive probe. Kathy persisted in questioning where all the money was, the property, the investments, the presumed savings we had. It astounded her that, following years of marriage, there was less to divide. Thinking I had stowed money in secret accounts, her lawyer hired a forensic accountant right once to probe further. I was first a bit anxious, not because I had anything to hide but more because I knew this would simply slow down the entire process. After reviewing everything once more and consulting my attorney though, I discovered there was nothing legally they could uncover. Every item I had said was exactly factual and no trace would lead them to the assets under my dad's name. Kathy's face started to show irritation as the probe dragged on. She was used to getting her wants, but this time there was nothing for her to grab. She seemed unable to understand the reality that she was leaving with next to nothing. Kathy's next action was to try to defend her major contribution to our way of life and my job. She said that by keeping home and running the house, she had helped me to concentrate on my profession and forward my career. Although I'll say that occasionally having her handle things at home was beneficial, it wasn't as if I were operating a Fortune 500 firm. Being a mid-level accountant, my employment has been somewhat steady for years now. She could not point to any dramatic increase in my income that she could declare, *I helped him get there*. She still made an effort though. Though the truth is she hadn't worked long before deciding she wanted to remain home, she pushed the notion that she had sacrificed her own career in marketing to support me. Not anything I ever requested of her. She made this decision even then. Her attorney brought this up often, trying to present me as someone who had profited from her sacrifice, but once more, there was not much evidence to back that assertion. They even tried once to include my parents in the process. Kathy intended to show that I had been hiding assets with their help or that they had been paying me money under the table. I became quite enraged with this section. My parents had nothing to do with this. Pulling them into it was a cheap blow. Luckily, my attorney was able to stop those efforts really rapidly, although Kathy was obviously becoming rather desperate. Kathy chose to handle things on her own as the divorce processes dragged on. She was going to attempt and damage my name in other ways if she cannot get what she wanted via the courts. She began confiding in everyone in our social circle that I had been financially abusive during our marriage and had been keeping money from her. The lies she was disseminating really astounded me. Mutual friends would tell me about how she was doing and about how I was leaving her with nothing. How I had coerced her into believing we had more than we had. She even went on social media, leaving cryptic yet critical remarks on betrayed narcissistic partners. Of course, some people supported her. There are always those who would side with the person who appears to have been wronged. But most of our closer pals were aware of it. They knew I was not the kind to act in such a manner. Seeing her try to damage my reputation just because things weren't working out annoyed me, but I tried not to let it get to me. I knew the truth. The individuals who truly counted knew it too. Apart from that, I had more important things to concentrate on, such as ensuring she didn't take me for more than what was fair. Kathy was working on a smear campaign, and I was ensuring all my bases were addressed. My attorney and I were in close contact to ensure we possessed all the data required to support my side of the narrative. Every contact I had with Kathy, every demand she made, and every time she tried to cast me as the bad guy I recorded. Having such documentation would be absolutely vital, I realized, should this ever make it before court. I began also compiling proof of her romance with Derek. Although divorce settlements usually don't revolve much on adultery, I wanted to make it apparent she wasn't the victim here. I had screenshots of the books she shared with him, images they had taken together, and even quotes from some of her acquaintances who knew about the affair but remained silent. I merely wanted the truth to come out. I wanted not to disgrace her. Besides that, I started getting ready for the unavoidable aftermath. Things would go bad once the truth came out and she discovered she wasn't getting half of anything. I so maintained my distance, keeping my attention on my work and personal life and ensuring I had everything ready for the next stage of the divorce. Derek's response added one element of intrigue to all of this. Kathy appeared all for it when she originally told him she wanted to leave me for him. Their small romantic notion of beginning a new life together. But Derek started withdrawing as soon as the divorce processes started to get disorganized. As it happens, he wasn't quite as committed to Kathy as she believed. Based on what I have heard, he began to have cold feet upon realizing that being with her would require handling her financial problems. Though Kathy was ready to commit to it, she was expecting this great new life with Derek. Actually, the incident caused word of mouth to spread about his beginning loss of gym patrons. People apparently wish not to deal with a trainer who is known to have interacted with married ladies. Derek has been attempting to remove himself from Kathy lately, and she is beginning to realize perhaps this was not the fairy tale she had in mind. Though I nearly feel horrible for her, I then remember what she has done. Regarding myself, I'm having mixed feelings. I feel justified on one hand. I'm happy I guarded my assets and that Kathy isn't leaving with what she expected. I can't help but feel a little depressed though at the same moment. For all, this was my marriage. Once I adored Kathy. I felt we would lead a life together. Though I know it's for the best, seeing it come apart like this is difficult. Update 2. Since my last report, things have veered somewhat wild. Kathy is becoming desperate and showing in the worst possible manner. She's trying to make my life horrible since she understands she won't get the expected payback from this divorce. The most recent is her threatening to damage my job and reputation at work. She told me straight out that she would make sure everyone at my company knew what a scumbag I was, should I fail to make things simpler for her, give her more money. She first confused me about what she meant, but it soon became evident when she started showing up at my workplace unexpectedly. She was cool the first time, seeming as though she simply needed to communicate. She snapped though when I informed her there was nothing else to talk about. She began speaking, stating things like, "I'll make sure everyone here knows the truth about you." Luckily, I managed to get her out of there before things got more out of hand, but she is clearly becoming erratic. Her behavior at home, or rather, her temporary residence with her parents, has been chaotic too. She returned home with her parents after learning she would not be walking away with the predicted large payment. According to what I've heard, her situation hasn't been doing great. Though they are not really happy with how things have turned out, her parents are supportive. I suppose even they see through her victim play. According to mutual acquaintances, she has been acting as though she is about to have a breakdown, lashing out, and fighting with her family. The legal side of things has grown more difficult as well. Kathy's attorney is making every effort to get dirt on me. Even though my attorney has consistently told my parents that assets are not up for grabs in this divorce, they filed motions to subpoena my parents' financial data. Though it's obviously meant to rattle me, it isn't succeeding. Though clearly meant to rattle me, it is not working. In search of anything that may imply I was hiding assets or under-the-table income, Kathy's team also filed a motion to depose my colleagues at work. Although they are grabbing at straws, handling it is taxing. Every time we believe we have attended to one of their needs, they return with another. The whole thing feels like an endless chess game right now. Kathy and her staff try to offset every action I do, but owing to my lawyer and the strict legal protections my father established years ago, I have been one step ahead. Still, it's taxing, and I'm not sure how long I can keep this going until we find ourselves before real courts. Regarding legal processes, we have previously twice tried mediation. Actually, both times it has been a total fiasco. After roughly 20 minutes, Kathy insisted on half of the house and our money, therefore ending the first session. Though Kathy wouldn't hear it, my lawyer presented the reality of the matter, that the house was in my father's name and that there wasn't quite as much money as she believed. She bolted, charging me with lying and claiming that the mediator was biased against her. The second try was not much improved. Kathy arrived this time carrying a set of utterly irrational expectations. She demanded half of all our savings, even if they hardly exist, full ownership of the house, and alimony for at least 5 years. Kathy lost it when my attorney coolly reiterated once more her lack of entitlement to any of that. She began screaming about how I was leaving her empty and about how she had given all for me. Though inside I was boiling, I sat there attempting to keep cool. She was the one who desired the divorce, cheated, and now she's behaving as though I am the one destroying her life. Unbelievably beautiful. That session made it quite evident that, whether I like it or not, this divorce is headed for court. Besides that, Kathy has been using money borrowed from friends and relatives to pay her legal bills. She obviously didn't want the divorce to linger for this length of time, and today she finds herself short-funded. Though I'm not really clear how she intends to keep paying her aggressive attorney, that's not my concern. She acts more erratically the more desperate she gets. Mutual acquaintances have informed me she spends much of her time at home complaining to anybody who would listen about how I have destroyed her life. Some of her friends have started separating from her since they are tired of the drama and her continuous playing the victim card. Kathy seemed to be losing what she expected to get out of this divorce. I have been trying my best to remain cool under all of this and manage things tactically. I refute every new charge or demand Kathy makes with facts. I have nothing to conceal, hence whatever financial record they ask for I present. More than I can say for Kathy's team, my attorney has been outstanding in ensuring we are strictly obeying the law. I have also been trying to honor the privacy of my parents. Although Kathy's attempts to pull them into this mess irritate me, fortunately legal safeguards prevent her from gaining access to their financial records. Still, her even trying indicates just how dire she is. She seems to believe that, if she digs deep enough, she will uncover some buried gem I have been holding from her, yet, nothing comes of search. Update 3. When the day of the court hearing finally arrived, one would not be able to adequately describe the stress. Kathy arrived swinging and started to testify first. She made it plain that she thought I had been keeping assets from her all along. She said I lied to her about our actual wealth, concealed money in hidden accounts, and changed our budget. Emotional, she portrayed herself as the victim left with nothing after giving her career over to help me. At one point she was crying on the stand, discussing how she had trusted me with everything only to be shocked by the divorce and my alleged financial dishonesty. The big blow, though, came when my attorney offered proof of her involvement with Derek. The jury, the judge, everyone could understand what was actually going on as soon as the books, images, and specifics of her relationship with him surfaced. Before my very eyes, Kathy's victim story began to fall apart. She even tried to minimize the affair at one point, claiming it was a mistake and had nothing to do with the divorce, but by then the damage was done. Her reputation was damaged, and it was abundantly evident that her financial needs were motivated more by avarice than by anything else. When it came time for me to testify, I tried to remain cool and follow the facts. My attorney had done a good job of preparing me. I knew that becoming defensive or angry would not strengthen my case. I went over everything: how my assets had been established in my father's name for years, how I had given complete financial reports, and how I had tried to manage the divorce amiably through mediation. I also testified on Kathy's threats, unpredictable behavior, and ongoing smear campaign activity. My attorney demonstrated how unfounded all the charges she had leveled at me, publicly and in court, by providing documentation of each. We presented the truth about our finances. My father owned the house, our savings were meager at best, and she could not claim any secret treasure of money. The judge apparently valued my simplicity. Though I didn't try to denigrate Kathy, I also didn't sugarcoat the truth of what had happened. The facts were unambiguous, thus I took care to express them free from drama or hyperbole. During the trial, a few important witnesses were summoned. Their evidence helped to close the business. First, my dad spoke first. He described the financial plan we had set in place years ago, how the property was in his name, how the investments were under his management, and how all of this was done as a kind of long-term financial security. He made it abundantly evident that Kathy had no legal title to these assets and that they were his, not mine. Next on schedule was one of my co-workers from the office. My colleague promptly stopped Kathy's team's attempt to claim that I had been hiding money by getting bonuses or under-the-table payments off course. He testified on my regular, open pay and meager income. There were no hidden sources of money or secret bonuses, only the simple payback I'd mentioned. These testimonies were absolutely essential in demonstrating Kathy's charges lack basis. The judge could see that Kathy had simply a straightforward open financial arrangement that she had never bothered to learn about, not any major scheme on my side. The judge decided at last following days of testimony and legal arguments. Hearing the words, "the divorce would be awarded in my favor," was a great comfort. Kathy insisted on half of the house and our money, and we were flatly denied both. Kathy had no title to the house or most of our possessions, the judge said, since my father owned them. Her only award was a meager sum of alimony, and even that was only temporary. Barely enough to pay her legal bills, let alone the lifestyle she hoped to keep. The judge made it plain that his decision included Kathy's affair and her lack of household financial contribution. He judged based on her attempts to present herself as a victim. She was seen through. I felt a great weight drop off my shoulders when the decision was announced. That moment washed away the months of anxiety, the continuous accusations, the dread of losing everything. Legally, I knew I was in the clear. Kathy, on the other hand, did not find the decision appealing. She started crying as soon as the judge concluded, yelling that the system was unfair and that I had misled her out of what was rightly hers. She left her attorney looking frustrated as she bolted from the courtroom. Though I'm not sure what she expected, it was quite evident she hadn't gotten ready for the potential of losing. For me, the first reaction was relief. I left the courtroom after thanking my attorney for a job well done over the entire process. Texts from friends and relatives praising me on the result were flashing on my phone. Word had gone fast, and the neighborhood was already debating the matter. Knowing the truth had come out and that I could at last start my life felt terrific. But Kathy was still not done. She had a complete collapse in front of a small gathering outside the courtroom. She began yelling about my lying and system manipulation as well as her intended appeal of the ruling. She lacks the means to accomplish that, hence the dilemma is her attorney made it abundantly evident during the proceedings that she was running low on money. From what I have heard, she is still borrowing from friends and relatives simply to get by. Having said that, I really appreciate my father's counsel and insight on financial protection. Whose kind of mess I would be in right now without his assistance. My friends, relatives, and colleagues, who stayed with me even when Kathy was circulating accusations and attempting to damage my reputation, have my thanks as well. Looking ahead, I have hope. Though I know it will take time to completely heal from this, both emotionally and financially, I am ready to start my life. From all of this, I have gained some insightful knowledge. I will not be repeating the same errors. Right now, I'm mostly trying to get back to normal and savor the tranquility that results from closing this chapter at last.